I'm Ili Nadira, Content Strategist at Computer World. Welcome to this webcast, Industrial Technology, the Missing Piece to Enhance Workplace Safety and Health, brought to you by Getac, Eave and IDC. Occupational safety and health, better known as OSH, remains a key concern with a global estimate of 340 million workplace accidents and 160 million victims of work-related illnesses. But that's not to say companies are not taking notice. On the contrary, the global workplace safety market is projected to double to reach over $25 billion by 2027, with software growing the fastest. This reflects not only their willingness to spend for enhanced safety, but the clear acknowledgement that industrial businesses really need industrial solutions. So this comes to question, how do companies, especially those in high-risk industries such as manufacturing and materials handling, create and ensure safer working environments? To help us address this conundrum today, I have here with me Tom Baldwin, Enterprise Sector Lead at Getac, David Greenberg, Founder and Director at Eave, and Rakesh Patni, Associate Research Director, Head of Energy Insights and Future of Operations AP at IDC. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to have you join us today. You've been in industry for quite a while. So, can you share with us some observations around current OSH trends and the technology's impact to them?
Yeah, thanks, Ali. So today we're going to be looking at how digital technologies or Industry 4.0 technologies are improving workplace safety and health for industrial organizations. Workplace safety and health are critical priorities due to the large number of occupational accidents and deaths annually. When we examine the data here from ILO, which is the International Labour Organization, that has conducted long-term analysis of the likely number of deaths and accidents globally, we can really see the scale of the problem. Globally, 2.9 million workers die every year due to occupational accidents and diseases. In 2020 alone, in 36 countries around the world, there were 18.5 million days lost due to cases of injury. And this is for industrial companies such as mining, manufacturing, utilities, transportation, and so on. In Asia Pacific, it is estimated that there are 1.2 million worker-related deaths annually. These numbers show how critical it is for businesses to address occupational health and safety performance. And unsurprisingly, industrials will continue to invest in this space, which is reflected in the market size that is projected to reach $30.4 billion by 2028, with a 12.8% CAGR between 2022 and 2028. And now we look at some of the challenges. Industrial companies face several challenges in ensuring proper management of workplace safety. And here are some of the key issues. Firstly, hazard identification and risk assessment. Identifying and assessing hazards in the workplace is essential for effective safety management. However, this can be a complex and time-consuming process, especially in large industrial facilities that have many potential hazards. Secondly, organizations often have a lack of resources, which can be an issue due to budget constraints, lack of infrastructure and equipment, and a lack of talent. The third issue is compliance with regulations. Organizations have to navigate complex, ever-changing regulations, and failure to comply can result in penalties, fines, and legal liabilities. Fourth, there is often a resistance to change, which can be an issue due to a lack of knowledge transfer with new staff, a resistance to new safety protocols or technologies, or a view where safety measures are a hindrance to productivity. Fifth, a lack of training, upskilling or reskilling programs, and pure communication can cause a variety of issues and reduce safety performance. And lastly, a lack of safety culture and leadership. Creating a safety culture takes time and effort and requires ongoing commitment and reinforcement from management. These challenges can represent a real gap in terms of capabilities, which can have serious consequences, such as low employee morale and productivity, damage to the company's reputation and brand, and finally, lower employee retention. This can be especially a severe problem for organizations who feel where employees feel unsafe at work and may choose to leave the company, leading to high turnover rates and increased recruitment and training costs. This can also impact the company's ability to maintain a skilled and experienced workforce. So when we look at occupational safety and health requirements, we can see that they have evolved significantly in recent years. and there are new workplace safety trends and regulations emerging in response to changing work environments and technological advancements. And there is now a real emphasis on prevention. Some of the key trends that we see here include a global harmonization of standards. OSH requirements have become more standardized across different regions and industries, with organizations like ELO and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, developing and establishing consistent guidelines and best practices and a solid framework around workplace safety. Secondly, integration of technology. Advancements in technologies such as wearable devices, sensors, and artificial intelligence have enabled employers to monitor and improve workplace safety in new ways. For example, sensors can detect hazardous conditions and alert workers to potential dangers, while AI algorithms can analyze safety data and identify patterns or trends that may indicate areas for improvement. Third, alignment with business strategy. OSH requirements have evolved to become more closely integrated into overall business strategy, with a greater recognition of the link between workplace safety and productivity, profitability, and sustainability. There is now greater emphasis on measuring and reporting on OSH performance, as well as incorporating OSH considerations into supply chain management and other business functions. The fourth trend is a greater focus on risk management, where organizations take a proactive approach to identifying and mitigating risks. Some of the ways organizations can do this are conducting regular risk assessments, better identification and mitigation processes, implementing safety management systems, and developing detailed emergency response plans. And the fifth trend, which is critical to all of the others, is developing a safety culture and encouraging worker participation. Many companies are placing a greater emphasis on developing a safety culture where employees are encouraged and empowered to take an active role in identifying and reporting potential hazards. There has been a shift towards involving workers in OSH decision-making, where organizations encourage and engage workers and co-develop solutions with them. This includes promoting open communication and encouraging reporting of near misses and rewarding safety behavior. As I mentioned earlier, technology integration is a key trend in OSH. There are several digital or Industry 4.0 technologies that can be used to improve OSH performance in the industrial workplace. For example, wearables such as smart helmets, vests, and smart glasses can be used to monitor workers' vital signs, track their movements, and provide alerts in case of danger. Mobile devices, especially rugged devices, can be used in harsh environments and extreme temperatures, and are also a key piece of frontline equipment. IoT sensors and monitoring systems are another key technology, which can be used to detect hazards such as fires, leaks, or chemical releases, and trigger alarms that shut down systems in case of danger. For example, gas sensors can detect the presence of flammable or toxic gases, while temperature sensors can detect overheating in machinery. Virtual and augmented reality technologies are another key area which can be used to train workers in safe practices and simulate hazardous situations. For example, VR simulations can be used to train workers in confined space entry, while augmented reality overlays can be used to identify hazards in real time and offer solutions to any given hazard. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is another key technology, which can be used to analyze large amounts of data to identify patterns and trends that could indicate safety hazards. This can help predict and prevent accidents before they occur. ML algorithms can be used to analyze accident data to identify common causes and suggest improvements to prevent future accidents. Robotics is another key technology that can be used where humans are replaced with robots to perform dangerous tasks, such as welding, cutting, or handling hazard materials. This removes the workers from hazardous situations and can improve overall safety performance. Finally, cloud-based applications and advanced data analytics can be used to store, compute, and analyze safety data from multiple sources, including IoT devices, identify trends and patterns, and provide information to workers as and when they need it. Better data sharing and collaboration can bring a step change in safety performance. I should also note that there is an underlying requirement for wired or wireless connectivity and cybersecurity. Strong, secure networks are needed to enable many industrial use cases. So we see that mobile devices, IoT sensors, and wearables are critical to success, and digital-first enterprises leverage these and use wireless or 5G connectivity and cloud-based enterprise software to deliver improved worker safety and health. According to IDC's Futurescape, Future of Operations predictions, by 2024, digital-first operations enabled by 5G connectivity will improve worker safety, resulting in a 20% reduction in lost time accidents. Both hardware and software are needed, as both are essential tools for frontline workers. When they are well integrated, they provide workers with access to information, enable automation and better communication, facilitate data collection and analysis, and help improve OSH safety performance in the workplace. And finally, we come to IDC's essential guidance. There are a few steps to improve worker health and safety outcomes that all industrial organizations can take. First of all, develop a safety culture throughout the organization with clear KPIs. Implementing industrial technologies is only one part of improving worker safety and health. IT leaders should work with operational leaders to develop a safety culture within the organization, emphasizing the importance of safety in all aspects of work. Involve workers in the process of identifying risks, develop new safety procedures and equipment choices. Third, conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify potential hazards. Before implementing any new technology, it's really important to conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify potential hazards and ensure that the technology itself does not introduce any new risks. Consider the use of mobile rugged devices and technology platforms, such as asset performance management or environmental health and safety management systems to improve safety performance. Mobile rugged devices are a key consideration here, because they can withstand harsh environments and reduce the risk of device failure or damage on the job, which is often essential to solid safety performance. And finally, conduct regular training sessions and engagement with the workforce to encourage continuous learning and feedback. Regular training sessions can help ensure that workers are up to date on new technologies and best practices for workplace safety and health. Operations leaders should work with IT leaders to develop training modules that cover new technologies as they are implemented. So Tom, I've mentioned the impact of technology on workplace safety and health, but it would be great if you could share how it has changed the way businesses approach workplace safety. What's your view on businesses adopting a holistic approach to OSH?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rakesh. I think some of the statistics you're mentioning there are absolutely staggering. 2.9 million deaths per annum across the workplace. International Labour Organization also stated 340 million occupational accidents across the world annually, and 160 million global workers suffer from work-related illnesses every single year. So clearly there's massive room for improvement, and we see that technology can really help to underpin and to help solve some of those challenges. Getac have been providing ruggedized technology solutions to workers in high-risk industries for over 30 years. We talked to a lot of organisations, and we see that really some of the significant barriers to OSH is a bit of lack of understanding, lack of information about the available technologies that are out there. And we see that companies that embrace and adopt those technologies can really help to drive down some of those staggering statistics. Globally, Getac provides rugged solutions across multiple industries, from mining, oil and gas, manufacturing, construction, transport, and logistics. So really areas where there's a critical need to keep workers safe. And we've designed solutions which enable workers to perform their job roles in the most demanding of conditions. As an example, we have a multi-touch displays which are designed to allow workers to be able to use and access information on their tablets and laptop devices with their safety gloves on, for example. or to be able to use the devices in low light conditions such as mines or in tunnels, and equally in bright sunlight conditions as well. We have solutions that are ATEX and ANSI certified that can be used in explosive areas as well, so keeping those workers safe. And of course, with the introduction of 5G across our portfolio and dual SIM and GPS, ensuring that users are constantly connected and have access to health and safety information is critical, really, to ensuring worker safety. So, why is OSH really sort of critical within the rugged total solution requirement? Having a robust and durable device clearly enables our users to be able to have access to health and safety information and perform their job role in the most demanding of conditions. Having certification across our portfolio, so devices that are military spec, certified, that have ingress protection within the devices, and also ATEX certification allow those users to be able to perform those job roles in those in those harsh conditions. And of course, adaptability to specific needs and requirements across diverse industries. Every workforce is different. Every user is different. And what we really do at Getac is we work very closely with operations teams who are a critical part of the health and safety operation to understand really what those users are doing each day for their job role, and then right size the right technology solution from our select portfolio and our ecosystem of partners to ensure that they have the right technology to be able to perform their job role. And of course, along with the efficiency and effectiveness among their business operations, having devices that are constantly available and able to be able to perform those critical conditions really help them to lighten the workload across those technologies. So we have our Getac, we have our select solution portfolio. So not just our rugged device as well, it's a whole ecosystem of solutions. So we have accessories and peripherals, software, for example, driver safety tools that blank the screen when users are driving forklifts or in vehicles, and stops keyboards being used to ensure that focus is on that driver, to drive safely. We have monitoring tools across our portfolio as well to ensure devices are constantly monitored and location services are enabled to keep those users safe. Accessories such as harnesses for workers that are working at heights, for example, hands-free straps. So for those field workers that are working in manufacturing, for example, we have a breakaway strap, so the devices they're caught in heavy machinery will keep that user safe as well. Now we work with a large partner ecosystem as well, and key to those is aligning with specialist organisations such as Eave, who can help provide total solutions to ensure that we're keeping customers and workforces safe. So David, I'm sure you want to talk a little bit more about how Eave, as part of one of our partner ecosystem solution providers, can provide solutions for those mobile workforces.
Thanks so much, Tom, and thank you, Rakesh, as well. So yeah, we're a proud partner of Getac, one of the productivity solution partners, and we specialize here at Eave in noise control. Noise is one of the biggest issues when it comes to occupational health in industrial companies across the world. And I'm going to share a little bit about some of the problem with noise in the workplace and what we're doing to solve it in partnership with Getac. So at Eave, we develop smart PPE. Now, this is protective equipment that actually has sensors embedded to do things such as monitoring of exposure and also monitoring of correct wear and fitting of the PPE. We're part of the British Safety Industry Federation's Registered Safety Supplier Scheme, and we currently offer our smart PPE primarily to the construction industry, but also into other sectors, as we'll see. So what is the problem with traditional hearing protection solutions? Well, the main issue is that there's no way of knowing if they're actually being effective. Many health and safety managers or occupational health people will be issuing protective equipment, PPE, in order to protect their workforce from the various hazards in the workplace. Now, it's not just hearing protection, of course, it's also breathables to protect from dust, it's glasses to protect from shrapnel perhaps going into their eyes, hard hats to protect the head, and so on. But with traditional hearing protection solutions and traditional PPE in general, there's no way of knowing if they're actually being effective when they're actually being used out in the field. So that's the first issue. And the second issue, more specific to hearing protection, is that traditional hearing protection indiscriminately blocks out all environmental sounds. Now, if you imagine yourself on a construction site or in a manufacturing facility, one of the most important things you need to do is actually have awareness of your environment. Of course, you wouldn't protect your eyes by wearing a blindfold, and yet that's what we do when we protect people's hearing. We give them a blindfold for their ears. We stop the person wearing the protection from actually being able to hear what's going on around them. Now, importantly, our ears give us 360-degree situational awareness. And so it's really important to maintain our ability to hear what's going on around us, because it's our ears that actually let us know if something's coming from behind, reversing perhaps, and traditional hearing protection blocks out our ability to hear what's going on around us. So those are the two main issues with traditional hearing protection solutions, and traditionally is why people don't wear them properly. They'll actually take off their hearing protection in order to be safer actually at work. And so of course, that then means a trade-off between your holistic safety at work and your hearing protection in the long term. So the problem with traditional hearing protection solutions is well established. The Health and Safety Executive here in the UK actually published a really fantastic piece of research on the real world use and performance of hearing protection. And what they found is that 40% of PPE users got no protection whatsoever. Now, this is to say that a health and safety manager or a duty holder was giving out the protection as was required, but then the person just simply wasn't using it or using it correctly. This means that there's a false sense of security when it comes to protecting the workforce. Now, the other 60% of people were getting not an adequate protection. So 40% getting no protection whatsoever and 60% getting inadequate protection. So clearly there's a big issue. Now, what happens when you have so many people not wearing their protective equipment correctly and subsequently working in harsh and hazardous environments that maybe have a lot of noise? Well, in the UK, the statistics show that we have over 2.2 million people working in over 80 decibels of noise. Now, that is the first action level where hearing protection must be provided. But actually not necessarily, it's not a legal requirement to wear it at that threshold. The threshold where it is a legal requirement to also wear the protection is at 85 decibels. And in the UK, we have over 1.1 million people working in those levels of noise. So we have a huge proportion of the working population working in extremely harmful and hazardous levels of noise. And yet we currently have 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 of the population suffering from disabling hearing loss. About 12 million people in the UK have disabling hearing loss. This is where it affects their quality of life. Maybe they have hearing aids and so on. And from this hearing loss results loneliness and isolation. And from that, you actually get early onset dementia. And it's the early onset dementia that is leading people to really pay attention to noise exposure in the workplace as something that needs to be addressed at source. And the best way that you can prevent that cascade of negative effects, preventing the hearing loss, tinnitus, loneliness, isolation, and dementia, is by eliminating the noise at source in the workplace. And if you can't eliminate the noise at source, making sure that the person is protected through their PPE. So at Eave, we take a 3-stage approach. The first step is get protection to the people that need it. The second step is monitor if that protection is actually being effective. And the third step is work together to improve the scenario, which means effectively, can you eliminate the noise at source and can you put into place other control measures that don't rely on the PPE? Now, the PPE that we provide, as I say, is the smart PPE. It actually knows if it's being worn correctly. The monitoring is achieved through the Peak platform, where we're able to have a cloud-based platform that operates on the Getac systems, where you can see where noise is, who's at risk, who is and is not wearing that protection. And the improved stage ultimately comes down to people working together as a team. So just to share a little bit more information about the smart protection, first of all, the smart PPE that we offer is called the Focuslight Ear Defender. Now, the Focuslight Ear Defender has three main benefits. The first one is it provides level-dependent hear-through. This means that when you're wearing the Ear Defender, you can still hear what's going on around you, and the Ear Defender adjusts its level of protection according to the noise level in the environment. The second key thing that the Focuslight Ear Defender offers is 360-degree situational awareness. So when you're wearing it, you can still hear where sounds and possibly hazards are coming from. And the third key thing that the Focuslight offers is continuous fit testing and dosimetry, whereby it's monitoring via microphones on board, both inside the ear cup and outside of the ear cup, the noise level reaching the ear, and that is in the environment. It also gives you what's called a personal attenuation rating. Everybody's head shape is different, facial hair is different, wearing positions is slightly different, and therefore it's really important to know what the person's personal attenuation rating is, not just relying on what the box measurement says. Now, moving on to the monitoring stage, the insight monitoring is achieved by the Peak platform, and that has four key benefits. The first one is automated exposure notifications, making sure that duty holders know what's going on. The second thing is automated site noise mapping. So you actually get a digital noise map of where noise is in your environment. The third one is automated PPE wear rate compliance reporting. And the fourth one is noise control evaluation. So if you implement a control measure to reduce the noise at source, perhaps you'll actually be able to see from the Eave system, has that had a positive impact as you were hoping, and you can demonstrate the benefits from your energy, time, and resource investment that you're putting into as perhaps a health and safety professional to reduce the risks on site. Now, when it comes to that third stage of improving, that's all about using the smart PPE and the insights coming from the data you get from the PPE in order to enter into a plan, do, check, act cycle, a continuous improvement cycle, allowing duty holders to act and ideally eliminate hazard at source at the top of the hierarchy of controls. So that's what I wanted to share, just a little bit of insight into the Eave smart hearing protection system, and also about our partnership with Getac, because of course, a lot of the people that we work with and that Getac work with are working in the same sort of environment. So it's a really nice partnership that we have. So yeah, looking forward to having more of a conversation now. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. A really great sharing there. So what I'm hearing a lot is, almost very futuristic things: smart PPEs, noise attenuation control, robotics, even AR, VR for accident simulation. So throughout all this, kind of like the thread that connects all this is this industrial technology that came up during your sharing. So for this, probably I'll bring in Tom first. You've likely dealt with a lot of customers on the ground. Maybe you can share a bit more of how companies are cementing or even augmenting their OSH strategies with technology integration.
Absolutely. I think, we pick up on one of the topics that Rakesh covered off earlier on around some of the new technologies that are being used across organizations across multiple industries. I think robotics and drones, I think, are a very interesting one. So we see robotics being used across, obviously across emergency services with first responders, but lots of different use cases. We're working with a leading global chemical company, and Boston Dynamics, who have their robot dog, and that robot dog is being used to go and investigate chemical spillages, and we're working with them. They're using Getac ruggedized technology, our ATEX solution, to be able to control that robot dog and also to receive a live feed from the robotic tool. Clearly having a robust device there and being able to have a constant connectivity is absolutely crucial to that operation. I think if we look across other industries, drone technology certainly, again, there's lots of use cases, and we're working with organisations, a very similar sort of scenario to where they need to have a robust technology device, so a Getac tablet, again, to be able to receive live feeds from those drones. It's interesting how there's different technologies that are being used across different industries. Rakesh, what else are you seeing across the?
Rakesh, I see you smiling a bit.
there?
Anything that you want to add for Tom?
I definitely agree with Tom, where these type of technologies can really be a game changer. So, in a recent conversation with oil and gas executive, we came across an example. They were running a pilot for a drone using a LiDAR detection technology, which was being flown over their sites. And this technology is being used to detect emissions and leakages. And they detected during the pilot and the demonstration, they detected quite a severe leak, which posed a serious threat to anybody on the ground there. And immediately he had to stop the meeting, walk out, and address that issue immediately, because that view of the drone was happening in real time. So these technologies can definitely really move the needle for organizations, because it shows in real time potential hazards, which operations and plant managers can take decisive action and ensure that any workers at the front line are kept in a safe environment. And undoubtedly, the more of these use cases and the more possibilities, and as the technology develops, we'll see that their uptake will become ubiquitous, because they offer capabilities which currently most organizations, or certainly those who haven't explored digital and Industry 4.0 technologies, they just don't have those capabilities right now. And that's why we expect to see continuing investments in those areas.
So for the benefit of the viewers looking to just strengthen their OSH posture, what are some best practices for them to get started? Tom, clearly are very passionate about OSH, you can tell. Perhaps you can get the conversation for this going with us.
No, absolutely. But I mean, in terms of best practices, I think whilst every industry is different, and the users and the workforces operate in a different way, I think collectively it's fundamentally it's the same approach that's been taken by the operational team. It's clearly the part of the decision is operational efficiency, and of course there's a commercial element as well. But but by really understanding or really sort of educating technology providers around what their workers are doing, I think that's helping to drive some real discussions then, and enabling the right technology to be assigned to those users.
Yeah, I'd like to build on that. So I think one of the things that we're seeing is definitely safety culture has to start from the top. It has to be a C-suite priority. Recently, a mining organization had to replace their CEO due to consistent safety failures, and it's become a core KPI now for the C-suite. It has been for some time, but I think it's even more in focus now. So I definitely think that has to pervade throughout the organization. There are many stakeholders, many layers, as David said. So a lot of engagement has to happen across those layers. But interestingly, I think one of the things that we're seeing is that once that hurdle has been overcome, it's not so much a top-down as a bottom-up approach, where workers on the front line, operations managers, plant managers are being more and more integrated into the process and being involved in the design and deployment of safety solutions for industrial workplaces and industrial settings. David, I wonder if you've come across something similar to that.
Yeah, we have, and it's interesting because we used to take a very purely educative approach to what we do, and working with our clients on that. But what we found was, unless you have that stakeholder buy-in, and you actually have to take a bit of a top-down and bottom-up approach, whereby you educate people on why we need to do something differently, but then you also need to be working with the people, the influencers in the business that actually have the ability to change standards and change policies. because without doing that, there will always be a tendency to drift back to what we did previously, and what's easier effectively. And so once you've got that buy-in and you've got an implementation, and people understand why, you then need to kind of balance the education with the policy. And we often have this conversation, is it the carrot or is it the stick that encourages positive change? And ultimately, you need a combination of the two things. You need to both tell people, when it comes to health and safety, that's why we have laws in place. There are certain things you must do. But even so, unless you keep raising those standards, people will fall back to what is the almost the minimum requirement, because we're all under pressure in the day job. We're building something, we're creating something, whatever it might be. And that pressure means that you can only really focus on what do you have to do today. And so unless there's an element of, well, I must do this because it's part of my measurables, it's part of my performance indicators, whatever it might be, ultimately they won't be done because other things will take priority. So that's an experience that we've gone through when it comes to best practices, making sure to understand the process for raising standards in the workplace that you're trying to support. Have you experienced something similar, Rakesh or Tom? Is that, on your implementations, does it become written into standards and policy and normal practice when it becomes business as usual?
I think some of the conversations that we're having, certainly, when we're looking across the different industries, is that how can we improve? How can organisations improve not just the safety of their colleagues, but also the way that they capture information that can then help to drive changes and standards across health and safety. So, using those devices to be able to implement health and safety checklists, for example, or using the camera function to be able to take images of health and safety incidents, and then using that to be able to record and log and drive continuous improvement through technology as well. But Rakesh, what are you seeing across the industry there, Van, the same?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely seeing that. As I mentioned, I think it's critical to have a comprehensive stakeholder management for these types of engagements, because it's not something that can be it's not something that can be done with one conversation, at one layer. So it has to be done across the layers of the organization. And one of the areas where I think definitely which can help or facilitate this is what David mentioned, is the education piece, where given the opportunity to run a pilot or a POC with the right type of training, where you can really demonstrate the value and the kind of the ROI of these type of solutions and investments, I think that's where certainly organizations can take a step forward in ensuring that they're making the most of the technology that's available out there, and ensuring that that their workforce is ready to adopt these new technologies and implement them, and really drive safety performance by doing that.
Thanks, gentlemen. It really does seem that it's not the technology piece first, but it's really people and processes before the technology piece comes in. Useful insights for the viewers to get started for their OSH best practices. So just to close off this discussion, I'd like to ask you guys to kind of peer into that crystal ball. I'll start with David first. You're always very involved. You seem very involved in the OSH space. So what trends do you expect to see in the next 12 months, and how are businesses planning to prepare for them?
That's a really good question. We're seeing demographic changes. So when traditional workplaces make a person sick, right? There's a lot of exposures, there's a lot of hazards, whether it's even a desk job and you get a bad back, but in the more harsh environments where it's dust exposure causing lung disease, asbestos exposure causing cancers, noise exposure causing deafness, these issues result in early retirement. And now early retirement results in a loss of knowledge. We're seeing a whole wave of people with a high level of skill leave the workforce. Now, that's a real challenge for new people coming into the industry, but it is somewhat being mitigated by a lot of that knowledge starting to be transferred to digital solutions. So I think what we're going to see is people coming into the workforce who are able to get up to speed very, very quickly because they're able to somewhat rely on technology and knowledge databases, and the tools that they have at their disposal are able to support them. So where historically a health and safety manager or an occupational hygienist might develop their expertise over 10, 20, 30 years until they really know their industry, you might have a person entering the field and in 2 to 3 years, they're already at the absolute cutting edge because it's so easy for them to access information and insights. Now, that does also mean that when you have new people coming into the industry, they have to be open-minded, more open-minded to change and to evolve. And there's this idea of learning how to learn, and that's a really important skill set for people coming into the industry, where those that have been around for longer, unfortunately, especially in construction and heavy industries, they are getting sick, they are leaving the workforce early, and it creates an interesting dynamic that we're living in real time. So my crystal ball is that we're going to see a change in demographics in the workplace and ultimately a reliance on technology because we're going to have a lot of knowledge leaving.
I really like that phrase, learning how to learn. Tom, Rakesh, would you want to chime in and add on to David's?
In terms of looking towards the future, as you know, IDC publishes Futurescape predictions, and we recently published a report on the Futurescape predictions for the future of work. Our Futurescape predictions usually cover a horizon of 5 years, and we're usually making predictions on how the adoption of technology and how the implementation of technology can help organizations take a step forward in performance, whether it's safety performance or operational efficiency and so on. So in this future of work publication, it says that by 2024, companies offering frontline workers democratized access to digital collaboration, process automation, and similar tools will see a 20% increase in revenue due to improved productivity. So to keep and improve business agility, resilience, efficiency in a fast-changing world, and with dynamic market conditions, frontline workers need to be equipped with the right digital tools and have really purpose-built hardware and software solutions for the specific ways in which they work and for the unique processes that they have to go through on a day-to-day basis, right? So the solution here is really in empowering those frontline workers with those tools, and that really gives them a sense of purpose, gives them the ability to perform their activities efficiently, effectively, quickly, and access to the right type of data and knowledge on the front line when they need it, where they need it. It allows for decisive action and decision making while they're in the field, and that ultimately leads to better business outcomes. And obviously, having that kind of having the right data in the right place at the right time really can improve safety performance as well.
Fantastic, Rakesh. There's so much goodness there in all those topics that really resonates, I think, with a lot of the conversations we're having with a lot of our customers. Certainly, if you look at some of the technology advancements that are happening at the moment, we certainly see that augmented reality, I think, will become a key way to keep workers safe, where you can bring up schematics and diagrams in real time. Certainly 5G, when that really explodes, I think having that just can only help to enhance connectivity across devices. And I think we're having lots of conversations about remote assistance as well, being able to support frontline workers with remote tools and having solutions to be able to enable that as well. So really, I think there's lots of ways that technology can help frontline workers to keep them safe. And absolutely, I think there's lots of different solutions that underpin that to help those organizations.
Thank you for sharing, all of you gentlemen, and with that, we'll conclude our webcast. Again, really like to thank you so much for your time and your sharing. Really great conversation and really great to learn how we can enhance, OSH through your lens. And also thank you to our viewers for joining us in this important discussion around industrial technology, the missing piece to enhance workplace safety and health, brought to you by Getac, Eave and IDC. Thank you.